And we are live. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another network session with Core Code. We are excited to have you. See, with Core Code, we are working to facilitate collaboration and continuous learning through our intensive programs and through conversations like this one. So, before introducing you to our special guest, I am passing the mic to Gus, who will be facilitating this session. Welcome, Gus.
Yes, thanks, Sofía. So my name is Gus. Welcome to another Core Code Network session. This time I'm really proud to introduce a Guatemalan entrepreneur. It's called Nery Guzmán. He's also an economist and an advocate for bringing to reality mathematical optimization theories in the form of technology. So welcome, Nery, to this network session.
Thank you, Gus. Thank you, Sofía, and hello, everybody. It's going to be a real pleasure to be here tonight with you, and let's have a nice discussion about all the lessons learned.
Excellent. So before proceeding to your presentation, let's talk about the project you're currently working on. It's called Ali AI, and it's a marketing automation tool with artificial intelligence that improves the digital campaigns for clients in the region via software as a service. Am I right?
Yes, that is correct. The main goal is to create a platform that our clients can use to post their campaigns, and it basically makes you truly expert in creating digital campaigns. Right now, we're working with Facebook and Instagram, and we're planning on adding extra channels to it. So if you had you will need a little bit less experience using our platform that creating sophisticated campaigns without the platform. So that's a really good boost, and you don't have to worry about the whole optimization stuff, optimizing your ads, optimizing your campaigns. All you have to do is use the tool and focus on the most important part, that is your creative strategy and how you're going to present those added values to your clients.
Excellent. So if we talk about AI, we're thinking that this tool learns from the users or from the other users that are clicking on the campaigns.
Yeah, it's both ways, because the first thing is that it's classifying your products via your different category types. So that's one type to classify your products and to understand what are you selling to the market. The second thing is how the market responds to it, and the way that it allocates your budget afterwards, your results. It's a continuous operation, so it's going to be based on your final results. That's why we always ask for feedback, and if it's going to be an e-commerce, we put the learning phase into the website purchases. So you can be sure that your ads are going to be optimized via your final results. So in terms of a resume, we're going to the final stage of your funnel, to the most important part of the digital funnel, which are the conversions, the credit approval stages from your products that you are selling, and that's how we learn from it.
Excellent. So basically, it squeezes the budget. It gives you more value for your money.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting insight. The tool was designed to not be very budget consumed. For example, other tools that are in the market, they will ask you to spend over $10,000 a month in order to get this traction going forward. With Ali, you can work with very, very small budgets for your digital ads. For example, you can even work with $30-40 a month in advertising spend. So it's really a very applicable for our region, where we have a lot of companies with small budget sets.
Excellent. And lastly, you should be really proud, because I don't hear much of AI in Guatemala yet. So probably you are one of the first implementing AI in the region.
I believe I'm a little bit biased in that sense, because I kind of know the people that are doing AI. So I will tell you, oh no, I know 3, 4, 5 guys that do that. And since I was in tech, there's a lot of people working in AI here in Guatemala and the region, that they're very good at it. And I believe that if you say the things that this is probably going to be like the first types of platforms that are being built for it. So people working in AI, you have a lot, and we are confident that this is going to be like the first platform that it's developed here that required large engineering teams and large development process. But in the terms of AI, we have a very talented people here in Guatemala specifically, and in Central America as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, before proceeding to the presentation, I want to remind the viewers and the subscribers that you can post your comments on the chat, and we'll be reading it after the session.
Okay. Thank you very much for your introduction. Now I'm gonna leave the screen for Nery to share his lessons. So bye, Nery.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you all for being here today. So again, let's start with a little bit of a disclaimer and the roadmap, so we can all be in tune. I don't expect to be the expert, because of course this is a whole iteration of learning and everything. So the disclaimer for this session is that I'm going to give you the full experience, no censorship. I'm going to tell you everything that has been going on for the last years that we have been developing the platform, and the platform has been outside the market for 4 months. So I'm gonna give you a walkthrough about how the last 5 years since it was an idea and how it has been developing as a fully functional platform for it. So this is what we're gonna be discussing today. The first thing is that I'm gonna be starting like the whole sequence about how can you start from an idea and to delivering a service and then to a product. So I'm going to be starting with the basic questions that you will have to ask yourself is why are you here, right? What are we doing this? Why are we doing everything? And a roadmap that it's very basic and will give you an idea if you want to start this great crusade of launching a product, and how it's going to be delivered, how you're going to have your development teams working on the different methods, methodologies, and frameworks that you will have available for you, how your team is going to be managed, and the roles that are going to be critical for delivering the technology at the same time, and of course the role that I'm working on right now is being a product owner, which is how you're going to be able, if you're going to be the founder for it and you're going to have the idea, you're probably going to take on that responsibility alongside the project. So you need to understand what comes along with it. So the first thing is starting why are humans creating technology? Since when we are creating technology? So I'm going to start with this slide. On this slide, you will have two of the most ancient maps recorded from humankind. So what you can see here in the left side is you have a Babylonian map that it's carved in stone, So why would they do that? Why would you take your time and carve the whole city in a stone and then have it like that? So one of the main purposes of doing that is that you need to simplify information. And so when you simplify information and you present it in a very efficient way, you create value. So the why and why we create technology is precisely to save us time and to make us take better decisions along the side. So with this stone, you can go to Babylonia and you will go to the stone craftsman and you will say, give me a map for the Babylonian city. He will say, yeah, sure, come after a week, and after he will give you the stone and you will grab the stone and you will put it in your pocket. So next time you would need to go to a specific area, you wouldn't have to walk around the whole city and trying to memorize each part of the city. No, you will just go and do this, like we're doing right now with Google Maps. So that stone is a piece of technology, and it could be considered one of the first mobile dashboards that you would have. So you would take better decisions without having to depend everything on your mind and your memory. So the first thing that you will need to ask yourself is why are we doing this kind of software? Why are we doing this type of technology? What type of information am I simplifying? And that is very important because you need to create value. You need to create value for the people. In the example, of course, the maps is creating me value because it's helping me take better decisions. But who are we helping get value to? We need to enhance the human capacities. We need to help other companies and our customers eventually, our eventual customers. They need to be able to being enhanced thanks to your tech, thanks to your inventions. You need to understand when and where are you applying all that enhancements. Are you helping them in their day-to-day strategy, in their client interactions? Are you helping them with deal with their issues? Are you helping them with any part of the operations that you're going to have? And once you understand when and where you are trying to fix that, you can start creating, well, your roadmap. How can you deliver those values? And you have several steps where you can deliver value in the digital products and digital services. For example, or you can have a lot of value doing descriptive work, and that's where I began when we started the company. A long time ago, we were consultants and we provided a service. You would give us a large amount of data sets and everything from your company, and we will help you make a descriptive analysis for it. Right now, we have a lot of Tableau, Power BI, and all those information tools that are available to the market. So right now we have a lot of this availability to create description statistics. Then we will move on to the predictive, like, okay, so now we have seen a tendency, and the next month this is going to happen, and the next year this is going to happen. And after that, we will have to get into the prescriptive area. Like, if you know that that's going to happen, then what tactics and strategies you can make in order to be and take better decisions. After that, you can start representing all those knowledge, and after that you can start thinking about, okay, now I can implement some types of machine learning for it. And after that, you can start thinking about artificial intelligence in the form of natural language processing and other types of cognitive simulations that we can do with the computers. And this is another thing. Right now, I'm talking about especially digital products, right? I'm not talking about anything else. I'm talking about the digital products. So why they are relevant? Why do we have the need to use all these platforms, all these apps, all these web apps, all these softwares, all this analysis? Is because right now we have high data volumes. Like, for example, we are producing millions of information cells in our software that is from marketing hour by hour, and that is an infinite stream of information that needs to be analyzed. And you have different data rhythms. What do I mean by that? Like, for example, if you're working with IoT, you will have sensors that are giving you information each second, each 5 seconds, each 10 seconds, each 1 minute, etc. Like, for example, different modules that you will have for IoT. So you will have different rhythms. And of course, that temperature sensor is going to differ from the monthly revenue report that is on a company. Of course, the monthly revenue report is going to come monthly, so it's going to have a rhythm of each month, each 30 days. You will have different data rhythms, but different areas of your company may have different rhythms even inside your own company. So that poses you a very interesting challenge. And of course, you will have several sources. You will have the data that comes from the marketing department. You will have the data that comes from the operations department. You will have the data that comes from the sales department. You will have data that comes from your social media, from your web page, from your app, from your everything else. And you will have a lot of information coming through. So the important part of this is that your information services are the tools that you will have to enhance your perception on reality. If you are very good in analyzing that information, your perceptions of reality are going to be better. Let's look at the technology as you are putting glasses to correct your eyesight. So without it, you will see all blurry. But if you put your glasses on, your data glasses on, your perception of reality will be better. So you can take better decisions. You will stumble yourself less and less with obstacles in life. Okay, so these are the stages. These are the stages that we've been through, and you can go from everywhere. But I really suggest you to get this type of stages in your products. You cannot outrun time, and if you want to go faster and faster and faster, you need to be patient. And saying, yeah, I am patient is very different than being patient. So the first thing is that you need to have an idea and a case study when you are starting to get that discovery part for your product, where you start saying, oh, this could work. This could be a very interesting tool to be used in a company or in a different scenario, where different clients are going to use it. And after that, you're going to start trying to sell it, and you're going to start trying to, okay, let's launch a revenue pilot, and let's start doing like we started, hey, let me optimize your campaigns, and I'm going to charge you for it. And they would say okay, sure, do it. What are you, an agency? What are you, a growth marketer? What's your deal here? But the important part in that revenue pilot is that you launch a paying where people are really starting to pay for the service, even though everything is manual. Right here, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about everything doing manually. Of course, with digital technology, you may even have some algorithms going on. For example, we started with a very simple R developed algorithm that was doing several operations. We will do it manually, and then we will go to the ad accounts, and we will apply them manually. Of course, that poses you a very interesting challenge that you can only see some very limited kind of clients. And then you would go to the stage where you want to make your service a product. And while making a service your product, you will need to standardize your pricing. You will need to standardize the deliverables, and you will need to standardize the inputs and the outputs that is going to produce your tool. And that's going to be the more complicated part for it, because you cannot make everyone happy. So you will need to be very specific about which types. When you standardize something, you will lose other parts for your software. And after that, you will come with the infinite and eternal adjustments and upkeep. So never lose that in sight. That's very important, because afterwards you will need to have those engineers working every time on your platform, or else you're going to be outside the market very soon. These are the skills that you will need. Basically, this is a map for data science, but I believe it applies to each and every modern software right now in the industry if you want to be competitive. So you will need people that are very good in statistics and math. And I'm not saying math like very simple math. I'm telling guys that they can understand complex equations and theorems that are going to be useful for it. Of course, you need people that knows a lot of IT computation, and the most important as well is the business knowledge. You will need to find people that understand the business and can give you insights about the business that you're working on. And this is because we're not working for an investigation department. We're working for companies, and of course companies they value two things: if you can lower their cost, or you can upgrade your revenue. So eventually, if your software hits on the margin of someone, it's going to be useful, and they're going to be interested in adding that. So you will need this kind of skill sets, so you can have it in mind. Okay, let's talk about methods, the ones that work for us and which one didn't work for us. I'm going to be very quick about this. I'm going to tell you the things that work for us, and basically it was Scrum. Scrum methodology is the method, and for Scrum methodology, you will need to have a very experienced team, or at least that you need to take it seriously in order to work. You cannot be saying I do Scrum and you're not taking it seriously. You will need to really embrace the values for Scrum, and doing so. In your IT area and your inside areas, you can have some sort of hybrids, like, for example, project management schemes. They work very fine, but you will need to be very strict on the development side, that the roles are very respected alongside the corporation, alongside with everything and every one of your stakeholders. So the methods that we are using right now to deliver the products are Scrum for doing the software part, and we're doing some part of project management for the inside projects for our area. The team roles, it's very important. We have a very subtle rotation in leadership between the developer teams. Your developers, they need to be able to lead, because alongside they're going to be working with the different types of scenarios, and they're going to be starting to specialize in the different parts of your software and your solution. So you will need to let them lead and lead the development, even though you might be thinking something else. You need to have them understand the importance of their know-how. After that, you will have the product owner. That's usually the guy with the idea, right? He needs to be very good in explaining to the developers what needs to be done, and afterwards needs to be engaging with all the other stakeholders. I'm going to be talking more about it. Of course, the experts, you need to listen to experts in DevOps, experts in the business, experts in finances, because you need to understand everything that is gravitating around the building of the software. And of course, you need to have the operators, the people that are going to be operating the machine and delivering the service day to day. So those are the most important team roles that we have right now. And of course, this is not like, we did it once and yeah, we've done it. No, this is going to be a growth spiral, right? So you're going to try and you're going to launch your first value proposition. The market is going to tell you, oh man, this sucks. You don't have to feel too bad for it, that you're going to be paralyzed. You need to understand what the market is saying, and then you change your tactics, and then the next time you come back with all the feedback and all the adjustment that you can place and you can deliver, and then you go back to the market, and then you go back and you present them a more sophisticated way of doing things, and you're going to be in a growth spiral. So each cycle, just make sure that you are delivering more value each time. And which each time that you expand your value, you have an opportunity to expand the market that is going to be interested in using your technology. You will need some roles, management roles and management commitments. I'm sorry for the Spanglish there, but basically you will need, if you're going to be working in a technological company, the focus needs to be technological. So you will need to be focusing a lot, and upper management needs to be focused a lot in adding digital knowledge from themselves, because they need to understand the technology. They need to understand what is AI and what's the difference between a natural language processing and a machine learning algorithm. It's very important for them to understand that. Of course, it's not necessary that they know how to code it, but if they know how to code, it's a very interesting plus. But the knowledge of digital knowledge is very important. And the other thing is that they need to understand to act by design and not by pressure. So even though the situation may be dire or difficult, upper management needs to understand that they need to act by design and not doing very dramatic switches in your budgeting or in your teams very drastically, because it may harm the entire organization. So you need to be careful about it. And your IT staff and everything that's doing the operation, the biggest challenge that you're going to have is communication, because you will need to have your teams, their technical teams, communicate what's going on. And if the other rest of the team is not very technical, it's going to be very difficult to express an idea and express the why the things are happening. So the IT is going to have a lot of challenges by communicating and not working in a silo. And let me tell you that that's a very difficult challenge. And the marketing, of course, they need to be customer centric. They need to be willing to take risks and willing to understand how your clients are responding to each added value proposal that you're giving. So it's very important for that. But as an abstract with your team, with the team core, you need to mind your perception gap. And what do I mean about that? The perception gap is what I think about my product and what people think about the product. What I think about the product is one thing, but what the client thinks about the product may be a different world. So you need to mind that gap of perception. What I believe is not what my client believes. And you need to strive each day to make that gap smaller. You will never think the same way as your client, but you will need to strive to make that gap. So that will pose you a very interesting challenge about listening very carefully to what your clients are saying. How are you gonna decide how to go from each side of your equation? You can start building the most specific parts of your software, and you can start building with that. My suggestion is don't. My suggestion is work alongside with the engineers. The engineers will tell you what you need to do. If you're making a building, you're not starting with the rooftop, right? You start with all the foundations, the buildings, the data structures, the databases, your cloud structure, your security, and you go building for that. So be patient. Be patient because you need to work a very robust building in order to have a nice penthouse. So then you will need to ask, okay, team, let's ask key questions like what do we need to implement, and then you will have to do an impact roadmap with your engineers. Like, for example, okay, with this we can create a lot of impact and it's going to take us little resources, but this is going to be largely and not very impactful, but it's important. So you will need to have all those balances in the equations. You will need to understand which part of your software are really critical, and you will need to place them. And of course, the whole product is your whole team. So you will have 3 pillars that you don't have to lose sight, never. And the first one, and it's always going to be the most relevant one, is going to be operativity, that your software really, really does what it has to be, is doing what it's supposed to be doing. The second one is that it's functional, that it's usable for each of the product. And the third one is once the software is doing what it's doing, it's functional, it's doing, then you can start doing some client adaptations. Don't go first with the client adaptations. We've done that, and sometimes when we do that, it didn't work out. Your key stakeholders are going to be your investors, your business partners, operations, your developers, and your clients. And you need to be cycling their voices alongside, because it's important to hear everyone, but you need to be very rigid about how are you gonna pursue your priorities, because in the end you need to establish very critical priorities, and when the priorities are set, you shouldn't be able to move along. So the big lessons here is that first of all, don't hire too fast, especially if you're doing software, a digital software. Don't hire too fast. Take your time, right, for hiring. So get technical people and train them in other areas. That doesn't mean that everyone needs to be an engineer, but make sure that your team members have an affinity to technology, that they understand technology, that they are heavy users of technology, and it's going to be easier to communicate if you get that. Let operate, and try to do not a lot of micromanagement. Your engineers, they know what they're doing. Of course, that's why Scrum methodology, it is what it is. So let them do what they're capable of, and you will be very happy about it. Let your developers lead. They will give you awesome insights, and they will give you awesome information about how this structure is going to work better and not. sometimes your clients may be wrong. So if you present to them like, what do you think that my software needs to have? They will gonna give you, this is gonna need this graphic and this stuff and this stuff. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. So be careful with that. Check your personality test for your teams. That's a question that Juan Luis is asking in the chat I'm watching. Try to check which personality types are more efficient to work with you. Because it's going to save you a lot of time, and of course the technical side, we can discuss that in the questions. And then focus on the working software first, and then try to document. Documentation is super important, but it might take you a lot of time, and so keep a healthy technical depth alongside, but focus on that the software is working and is working good. And of course explore and iterate. So if we have another more questions and we need to get deeper in some subject, please. I believe you're on mute.
Yeah, you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, I was saying that thank you very much, Nery, for sharing this experience and this knowledge with the viewers and the subscribers. Let's proceed with some of the comments in the chat and start a discussion. So Juan Luis Lopez is asking how to find your team and what is something to look for.
Yeah, because I think you mentioned a bit of it in terms of personality. But I think you could also mention a bit about the challenges you've had on finding the team, like where to find it and what do you do when you see a person and you say, okay, that will be a great fit, right?
Yeah, well, first of all, you will need to, I am very emphatic in the personality part, because you have there's a very important test that I like to do, is the 16 personality test from Carl Jung. And it will give you which part of the 16 personality test you are, and be very emphatic in that, because your team needs to be very, very, very good. The technical part is important, but check if they are very good problem solvers, because languages change very drastically. Even though you say, come on, React has been for a lot of time. Yeah, but it changes a lot. And if you're going to be using clouds and different clouds, your team needs to be very efficient in learning new technologies and learning new stuff. So it's more valuable to work with people that, first of all, you get along with, and you can spend hours with them, even weekends, and it doesn't matter, right? And the second one is that there are quick learners, and you will need to have quick learners. So that's the thing.
Thank you very much. So speaking about AI, it's a very hot topic right now. But what if, for example, in your product, what if the AI takes decisions based on a past input, and what if it takes a decision that harms the company or the client's reputation or conversion rate, and at the end the client is upset? Should we blame the AI or the company, or who should?
Yeah, that's a very interesting philosophical question about the AI, and I will tell you that you need to be very careful with in what types and areas you're deploying your AI. And I will say there are subjects that are more delicate than others. Like, for example, if you will implement AI in a recruiting platform, you will need to be very careful to make sure that your AI is not making very biased decision and being providing discrimination and stuff and that. But when you are applying software and it damages the company, the responsible is the one that make the algorithm. So the responsible is you. In this case, if we provide something and suddenly the client will tell us, hey, your AI has gone crazy and now it overspended. Okay, so we are responsible for that. Not the client, not everyone. We are responsible for keeping tabs in that.
Excellent. So speaking about AI taking decisions, so you spoke about the perception gap. So I want to ask if is AI capable of having an opinion, and how did you reduce this gap? And is this opinion only like originated from the input you are giving to the AI? And what if the input is biased in the first place?
Yes. Basically, your AI is going to be an enhancer of your perception. So if, of course, if you have bad information, you are going to take bad decisions with or without AI. So if your information, for example, is going to be very bad information, you're going to have bad decisions with or without a technological tool for it. But the important thing is that that is where we as a humans, we need to make a call. You need to make a call, and you need to take the information available in order to make that decision. So the AI, I wouldn't put it as a first line of decision making. The AI is here to improve your capabilities, to make you use of the whole data crunching and make it simplify in 2-3 lines. And that's why it was important in the presentation that one of the main major skills is your business knowledge. And your business experience, because you are the one that knows how the market is functioning with your product. So AI is going to give you the tools to make informed decisions better. But at the end, the one that's going to take that information for granted or not is going to be the human. And that's why we believe that there are two kinds of technological creators, and two main subsets that I have seen. There are people that believe that we need to rest everything in the machine hands. On my side, I believe that no, machines are here to enhance our existing capabilities. So make sure you don't lose sight of that.
Great. So speaking about technology, we have a lot of technology advocates, like specifically, for example, programming languages. I remember that you mentioned R, the R programming language. So is this something that you are using extensively in your company?
Well, that's a good question. Right now, no. But when I started, it was a thing for me. I am an economist, so most of the investigations and most investigation facilities and investigators, they use R as a preferred tool. But once you're starting to work with software engineers and everything, I believe Python is the most smoother transition, because Python can be implemented more easily and quickly into functioning software than R. R is very important tool. You can have R and you can do a lot of things with R, but the learning curve for it may be more complicated with R than with Python. Python, it's very like, you can see it in databases, you can see it even in front end, and so right now the main technology that we are using for data analytics is Python.
Great.
Awesome. I'm gonna bring another question by Juan Luis Lopez. He's saying many learners or data scientists focus on creating models, but serving them and using them in an application is sometimes the last step they focus on. How has been your experience?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because you can create a model by navigating in GitHub and telling, oh, okay, I got this 4 or 5 lines of code, and I copy them into my Jupyter notebook, and I have a model. And now I have a model, and now I can use it. In my experience, the most important thing that you need to focus is in the data journey. Before you start thinking about models, before you start thinking about which type of tools you're going to use, at the end, the algorithms and the models, they are just tools in your belt. Okay, so what the most important part is checking all the data journey that's going to have your application, because in my experience, the first algorithms that were being used, they're obsolete right now, because now you understand how your data sets are being created, how your tables are being related to each other. You now know the limits of your information retrieval, and you know right now, like, okay, so this model that was before, I cannot use it here. So focus more on the data journey that you're going to have, and focus more on how you're going to be joining those information in the end. And once you have all that information infrastructure set, start thinking about the model. You can start with the idea and the prototype, and of course it's going to be working, and you can play with some random variables and stuff. But once you're just trying to develop a more standardized service, try focusing on delivering the infrastructure first.
Awesome. We have another question that I think relates to this one. So I'm going to jump to that one. It's on models too. It's from Joaquin Fernandez. He's saying, with all the big players and researchers, should we develop our own AI models or use existing ones?
Oh, that's a very polemic question, because now you have the auto machine learning tools that are in Amazon, that are in every part. I would suggest you to understand the depth of your problem. If you're gonna make an average mean, or you need to like do a very simple forecast, yeah, you can do the standardized tools. But here, Oscar Garcia is telling the model acts and changes as you act upon it. So if you're going to do a very complex methodology that is going to be using not only the model itself, but you will have mathematical transformations that are going to be accompanying your model, it's better to you to consider using the to consider using your own developing of your models. Of course, the libraries, use the libraries. You don't have to write your own libraries for Python, right? You don't have to write a new NumPy, a new Pandas. Please don't do that. Well, if you can, that's great. But if you're trying to make a product for this decade, I suggest you to use the infrastructure that is being created. But in the terms of using a preset, pre-trained algorithm that it's developed by Google, be wary of the risks. All right, you can use it, and you can use it and implement it. But if you're going to have a rich information coming for you, it's better to you have your control over your parameters and your hyperparameters, so you can do a quick fix and check if your model is not going wild. So you need to have control for it. And of course, as Gus said, you're going to be accountable for that algorithm. So you cannot say like, I just used the one that Google gave it to me. Oh yeah, right. And how is it taking the decisions right now? I don't know. Well, that's going to be an issue. So if you're going to do very sensitive data and very sensitive analysis, especially in healthcare or even with money, right? With real money, better be sure what your algorithm is doing, so you can know how to tweak it.
Mm-hmm. And related to, now that you're talking about the algorithm, there's another question by Santiago Javora. Sorry if I didn't say that right. But how often should you change the AI algorithm?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. You have different types of statistical tests that you need to be running on your algorithms constantly. And this is, you can find them in books for econometrics. You need to find econometric books, and they will give you a lot of statistical tests. And you need to be constantly checking your algorithm precisions, month to month, year to year. And you don't have a specific date, like in 5 months, my algorithm will be changed. You will need to be constantly checking for your precision in the model. You will always have a score. For example, if you have a tendency and you are trying to predict tendencies, you will have a score in your algorithms alongside. So every time your precision is dropping from 90%, try to check it out what's going on, because this is a very interesting thing. And I don't want to get too philosophical in this, but this is the models are not just predicting; they are changing the events as well. Because now the managers that you are presenting the algorithms are changing their behavior, are changing the way they think things, and probably are changing the way they act. So the preset training phase that you had with your algorithm was according to a past behavior, and now that they have that information and they are not making the same mistakes that before, they're taking different behaviors and different types of information accountable, your phenomena is going to change. So you need to be very wary about that. And that's a very important thing for companies to understand. And that's why data scientist is very popular, because once you have one, you're gonna need it for the rest of your lifespan using these tools.
Great. So we are out of comments, and as a conclusion, I just want to ask about your background. So you as an economist, how did you come into AI? How do you learn, and how would you invite people or young people to start with this?
I started studying computer science. So my first career was computer science. I didn't finish it. I then switched into business economist. And as a business economist, the math was the thing that brought me into attention. So I started like getting into very hardcore econometric models and regression models, and it will all go like that. And I started getting into artificial intelligence and machine learning, most of it, because when you start looking in the internet for things to do better your job at creating this type of regressions, you will see, well, that guy is doing it like in two subsets, and I am making all this in obsolete software. So I started like getting back into the work of R and Python, and I started getting back into that. And if you are an advocate of it, it's never too late to start learning, because you will need to focus yourself in the most basic thing is statistics, and the second thing is econometrics. Those are going to be the basic fundamentals. Of course, inside of them there's linear algebra and other types of mathematics that are being used, but in those two types, they are complemented the 80% of their troubles. You
Thanks.
cheat from computer science.
Yeah, Oscar Garcia has another comment if you want to share it.
Yeah, yes, he's saying that I cheated because I was from computer science to economics, but I believe so as well, that it's a very interesting combination, and it poses our educators a new type of information. Like, for example, you are right now having like health professionals that learn Python, and they have a whole different perspective of how they implement those tools. Well, my girlfriend is an example for it, because she's a health investigator, and she does researches about health problems, and how she views the models and how she views the data analytics in order to solve public health and public policy problems is very interesting. So I believe that the expertise, and then after jumping into Python and after jumping into data analytics, is not crazy at all. You should try it.
Great.
I have another question. Because at the beginning of the session, we were talking about how there is probably some people already exploring the AI fields. My question would be, how did you get to meet with them? Because I mean, I think you mentioned like there are probably 10 or more, but how did you get to connect with them? And was connecting with them something that you would say supported your whole journey to this day?
Oh yeah, definitely. You would need to get in a lot of AI groups. There are Facebook Guatemala AI groups that they share interesting stuff. You need to be very aware of different conferences like this ones, where you can get to meet all those amazing guys that are doing amazing stuff. I cannot. The tech has been a very important place to meet this kind of persons that are doing this. I believe that the tech, the pitch competitions are another good place to go and to check out what other guys are doing, and other companies are doing, other startups are doing. I believe that most of the people that I know about I have met them in pitch competitions, listening to their pitches about their startups and what are they doing, how they are doing that. It's amazing, because after that you can go and tell them, oh man, how did you solve that? And they were like, oh, I am suffering. I am suffering too. Like, let's be friends because we suffer the same things. And I believe that's a kind of a bonding that you're gonna have with that. So if you're interested in that, check for Facebook groups, check for all these conferences. You have Women in Data, you have Python, you have different types of groups that are forming in Guatemala, and they have very good, talented people.
I think it's super valuable that you're sharing this. I think I'm gonna ask for you to send us some links so people can like check them out below. Because yes, I've heard a lot of people who are looking for more people to suffer with, and I think it's super valuable to know that there are people here in Guate and also around the world. Which leads me to my next question: how have you gotten to, or have you gotten to meet with other AI experts around the world, and have you gotten to collaborate with them, and how did you like contact them, just the journey
Okay.
of it?
Well, I believe that the most important thing about getting in a startup is to do a lot of pitches, because if you don't have like the publicity background, like if you're not famous for something else, it's going to be very hard for you to meet other people. So the best thing you can do is try to get in a lot of startup contests. That was how I started meeting people outside the country. Like I managed to get a United States Department scholarship for going into an entrepreneur camp, for example. I had the opportunity to be several weeks in the U.S. Working with a company that was doing the same that I was doing, only like light years advanced. So that was my first real experience, like getting to know, like, wow, these guys, they are very advanced in that scenario. And the second thing is what the was that I won also a scholarship with this kind of startup challenges. It was a scholarship to study big data and artificial intelligence in Spain. So all these types of going and coming, it's like the way that you meet this kind of people. For example, I met in one of those startups challenges and everything. I managed to meet one of the key players in our infrastructure, right? Like Oscar Garcia, it's there. We joke that we hang out together in a startup contest in Miami, for example, and he was there watching all the pitches and everything. But we are now working together as partners in different types. So I invite you to participate in all these startup challenges the university has. Kirchner entrepreneurship and everything. Try to participate in everything. Get in the ring, GSEA. Try to participate in everything, and that's how you meet. And the other thing is that be wary of all these groups that they give talks and talk to them. And of course, be very open. That's something else. If you want to talk about anything about searching talent or just giving a chat, feel free to chat to me. Search me on LinkedIn or search me on Facebook or Instagram, and I'll make sure to answer. And sure, we can connect and everything. So be very open with it.
Thank you very much for your openness. I'm sure like if anyone's watching right now, that's truly a blessing and a super valuable connection. That's actually what we're trying to do here in these network sessions, right? To connect with great ideas and with great people like you who are willing to keep learning and to keep sharing their knowledge, right? I don't know if Gus has something else to add to close this.
That's right. Thanks, Nery, for sharing this with all the subscribers and viewers, and hopefully each one of them takes something like new in their heads and to their pillows. Sleep on.
Yeah. So
yeah, well, thank you, and thank you all the viewers as well for listening. And remember, I'm not the expert in stuff. I'm just trying to express everything that has happened to us in the last years of developing, so you don't stumble with the same stuff that we did. So when we when you start doing all this stuff, take these types of things in consideration. You will save a lot of trouble.
Thank you. I love it. I love it because your advice was also super valuable, not only for AI companies. I think some of the things you said can apply to lots of startups, especially like the process of it, the members of it, how you form the team, the test on the personality. I think that's interesting. I had never heard of it. Now it's given me things to think about. So I think it's wonderful, and it was super inspiring to have you here. It's always good to hear from someone who's making it big. That's here from Guate, right? And I'm reading in the comments that everyone's like awesome, amazing, and from the start there were like fire emojis, and I think that's what we're all feeling right now. Tons of inspiration and in the end connection, right? So thank you, Nery. Thank you, Gus, for joining us. And for our viewers, if you want to keep getting notices on these types of events, there's a link below where you can say, hey, we want to keep connecting with these types of people. Or if you know someone or are someone who would like to share a conversation with us, we are super open from any field in tech. So we can keep having these inspiring conversations. So thank you all, and we are going to go away. Bye.
Bye.
All right.